With a story surrounding the tragedy of Radigan and Renala, it's no surprise that Liurnia of the Lakes has an abundance of both incantations and sorceries available. Outside of the Legacy dungeons, there's a total of 27 different spells to find, so I've split my usual video to make it a bit easier to sort through. Hello again, fellow Tarnished. I'm StoneBear13. Let's dive right in and collect every sorcery within Liurnia. Starting off, we have 3 sorceries available to purchase from Thops. Found in the Church of Erith, Thops will sell the Astrologer starter spells Glintstone Pebble and Glintstone Arc, which I've gone over already in my Limgrave Sorceries and Incantations video. He'll also sell Starlight, which requires 15 intelligence and costs 9 FP to cast, creating a small glintstone star that follows and lights your way for 3 minutes. Exiting the church to the north, we'll find a small graveyard just to our left. Resting on a corpse sitting in front of the crypt will be the Academy Scroll. This scroll, when taken to a sorcery trainer, will allow you to purchase Swift Glintstone Shard and Great Glintstone Shard. Swift Glintstone Shard will require 12 intelligence and cost 5 FP per cast, releasing a very quick spell that can be chain cast indefinitely. The speed of both the wind-up and travel of this spell enables you to take advantage of much smaller damage windows than most other sorceries. Great Glintstone Shard, on the other hand, will require 16 intelligence and cost us 12 FP per cast. With the same cast time as Glintstone Pebble, this will cost over 60% more FP for just under 50% increased damage, making this sorcery a little less appealing. Next, off to the west of Raya Lucaria Academy, we can find the Cuckoo's Everjail. Inside you'll face Bulls, and once defeated, will reward you with Greatblade Phalanx. This sorcery will require 29 intelligence and cost 30 FP per cast. Summoning 3 Great Glintblades overhead, this sorcery deals some surprisingly high poise damage, and it can be boosted by the Carian Glintblade staff for an additional 15% damage, allowing this to be a great tool for stance-breaking enemies with a hybrid build. Heading over to the western cliffs of the Academy, we can find the Academy Crystal Cave to the southeast of the Crystalline Woods site of Grace. This will require a Stone Sword key to enter, and it's most definitely worth it as we have 2 sorceries inside. Once you defeat a pair of Crystallians at the end of the cave, you'll receive Crystal Release. This Crystallian sorcery requires 41 intelligence and costs 34 FP per cast, summoning a large crystal sphere overhead that rains crystal shards. This sorcery does lack consistency and damage on smaller targets, but it can be boosted by the crystal staff for 10% increased damage. And if you can get close enough, this can be used to inflict heavy damage on larger enemies very quickly. The second sorcery in Academy Crystal Cave can be found by exiting the boss room to the east and riding the lift up. Atop the tower inside a chest, you'll find Terra Magica. With an intelligence requirement and FP cost of 20 apiece, this places a large magical rune on the ground that amplifies all magic damage output within it for 30 seconds. Now this buff isn't a measly 10 or 15%, but rather a whopping 35% boost, making this an extremely powerful and useful tool for any magic user. Exiting the cave, we'll head to the east of Raya Lucaria, to the Gate Town north side of Grace. Here, pass time until nightfall, and head to the rooftop to your south. This will spawn a Deathrite bird, a stronger and angrier version of the Death Bird. And I will have a video coming soon on the locations of all the different open world bosses, so be sure to subscribe so you can be notified. Defeating this Deathrite bird will reward us with Ancient Death Rancor. Requiring 34 intelligence and 24 faith, this sorcery costs 21 FP per cast and can be charged to increase its potency. This death sorcery, much like the others, seems extremely weak when not built around. However, when using the Prince of Death staff for a 10% damage boost, and with proper scaling and build, this sorcery can become quite effective and deadly. For our next sorcery, travel to the northeastern shore of the lake, where you'll find Raya Lucaria Crystal Tunnel just behind the Walking Mausoleum. After you've taken the lift down, walk the plank across the mine, and progress beyond the marionettes, you'll reach this room with 3 Glintstone miners digging in the center. Clear the room and enter the tunnel to the north. On the corpse to the right, you'll find Shatter Earth. Requiring 15 intelligence and costing 10 FP per cast, this thrusts your staff into the ground to cause damage within a small radius. While this sorcery can be boosted by the Digger's Staff for an extra 20% damage, its damage remains low and the radius is rather small, and as such, this sorcery is rather lacking. Within the Carian Study Hall lies our next sorcery. Once you finally defeat the very annoying Preceptor Miriel, you'll be awarded Magic Downpour. Requiring 15 intelligence and costing 18 FP per cast, this chargeable sorcery creates a magic cloud that sprays projectiles. Unlike Crystal Release, this spell's projectiles have targeting, allowing for more consistency. This is also boosted by the Carian Glintblade Staff for 15% extra damage, and its targeting mechanic allows you to use it to dispose of large enemies with ease. This next sorcery can easily be missed, as it's dropped by a seemingly random mob in a field. From the eastern tableland site of Grace, head southwest behind the Fire Monk encampment, to a lone thorn sorcerer near 2 burning slugs. Defeating that sorcerer will allow you to loot Briars of Sin. Requiring 24 faith and costing 6 FP per cast, this is a unique sorcery. Every cast hurts you for 80 HP, however, that can be reduced by your arcane stat if your staff scales as such, and it does inflict some bleed buildup on yourself. However, each hit deals 95 bleed buildup to foes, and hits them for a decent amount. This can be boosted by the Staff of the Guilty and Alberic set, with damage buffs of 20% from the staff, and 5% for wearing the hat, robe, and bracers each. Using this sorcery with a full Aberrant build can make for a very entertaining playthrough. Our following 2 sorceries can be purchased from everyone's favorite giant turtle, Pastor Miriel. Located at the Church of Vows, Pastor Miriel will give you a brief history lesson before offering to share his knowledge with you. As for sorceries, you can purchase Magic Glintblade and Carian Greatsword. Magic Glintblade is a starting spell for the Prisoner class, requiring 14 intelligence and costing 12 FP. This summons a small sigil in the air that shoots a Glintblade after a delay, and it can be boosted by the Carian Glintblade Staff for 15% increased damage. Carian Greatsword will require 24 intelligence and cost 12 FP per cast, summoning a Magic Greatsword for a sweeping slash. This can be chain cast, and is boosted by the Carian Glintstone Staff for 15% increased damage. Covering a wide area, this is a very strong sorcery, and since it's relatively easy to obtain and low cost, I highly recommend it for all sorcery builds. Bidding farewell to Pastor Miriel, we'll make our way over to the converted Fringe Tower to obtain our final 2 sorceries. They'll be found in a chest atop the tower. However, to break the seal, you'll need to complete Thops' quest to obtain the Erudition Gesture, as well as loot one of the Glintstone crowns from within Raya Lucaria Academy. Once you equip the crown and perform the gesture to break the seal, climb the tower, and loot the chest, you'll be rewarded with the Canon of Haima and Gavel of Haima sorceries. Canon of Haima will require 25 intelligence and cost 38 FP per cast. This sorcery creates a very large explosion, and it can be charged to enhance its size and damage. It can also hit through walls and some ceilings depending on where it's cast. As such, it can be a very strong and useful, although cheesy, spell. Like Canon, Gavel of Haima also requires 25 intelligence, but only 22 FP per cast. This sorcery summons a very large hammer that makes for some very satisfying bonking. It allows for a follow-up cast and deals damage in a very generous radius, as well as some high poise damage. If using 2 Glintstone staves, you can actually bypass the 1 follow-up cast rule by alternating which staff casts the spell each time, casting the sorcery repeatedly without delay. As for my top sorcery in Liurnia of the Lakes, I have to go with Terra Magica. Giving a 35% damage buff to all magic damage output is massive, and the requirement to stand in the rune is rather easy to fulfill, especially for initial engagements. The one drawback is that the rune's buff is non-discriminatory, meaning enemies can also benefit from its magic damage boost. Regardless, only one of these can be active for you at a time, allowing you to recast and replace it with ease. And if you're utilizing the sorcery, chances are most enemies won't live long enough to make it over to you or your rune. And that's every sorcery within Liurnia of the Lakes outside of the Legacy Dungeons. I hope this video has been helpful, and if it has, please leave a like or a comment, and be sure to subscribe and click the bell so you can be notified of all of my upcoming Elden Ring content. Once again, I'm StoneBear13, and thanks for watching.